Hey guys, it's John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and I'm back with a review of Emily the Criminal. Um, this is currently available on multiple platforms, like if you wanted to do it VOD, but I watched it on Netflix, and Netflix does not offer audio description for this film, and from what I can tell, I neither do on-demand platforms. The I don't know that the audio description track was ever created for theatrical release. I would need to talk to someone who was blind and saw this in theaters in order to know whether or not there was ever a track for this film. But I decided to review it anyway. Interestingly, and I made another video sort of about this. Um, Emily the Criminal was not the film I was going to watch the day I watched it. I was going to watch Bardot, and Bardot does not have an English audio description track. And then I was looking at some of the other films. I called Netflix and I had a conversation with them, which led to another video that I made. And then I was like, well, I need something else to watch today that I haven't watched yet. And Emily the Criminal was still sort of floating up on at the top of my list because it's a new film and I really wanted to see it. And Aubrey Plaza, Thea Rossi, it's been getting great reviews. It's gotten some awards, recognition. And I just kind of assumed. I admit, I clicked on the film assuming it had audio description. And I started watching it and realized it didn't have audio description. My other choice was RRR, which doesn't even have alternative audio tracks. It's just listed as RR Hindi. That's it. I don't know how to change. I don't know where to find RR with anything. I'm thinking, like, how does that... So no, everyone out there is no alternative audio track to RRR. So all the people who are hyped about RRR, I will never know why, apparently, why that is. I was thinking it was so weird too, because it's like, do they not have Hindi audio description? Can Hindi people not select Hindi audio description? Because that's the original language in which it comes in. Do they not use audio description in India? Is this a thing? I'm so confused. Because at bare minimum, at least Bardot, when they released it, had Spanish and Spanish audio description, but RR does not. Anyway, Emily the Criminal has no audio description. And it definitely affects the film. I stayed with it because I was like, okay, it's Aubrey Plaza. And Aubrey Plaza likes to talk. She's funny. She enjoys dialogue. She's great with dialogue. This is her stretching herself as an actress, clearly. This film does not have a lot of dialogue. This film has several scenes of just noises, just like sort of background street noises. Shots of, obviously, like establishing shots of buildings or people driving, people walking on the street. I don't know. I thought about actually watching the film, but I want to do it in a way where nobody's going to accuse me of piracy. I can't do it where you guys can hear the audio. But I was thinking about doing a film like this where you guys can just watch me reacting to a film that has no audio description, and I could just talk about it as it's playing, because I thought that would be really interesting for somebody to hear. I don't know if that's something anybody would ever want. Probably not. I only have 90 subscribers, so I don't know that I'm anything anybody wants. But maybe it would help people to understand what it's like when you don't put audio description on a film or on a TV series, and how unproductive it can be and how hard it can be to try to follow a film like this. From what I gathered, Emily, it starts off the film sort of, there's limitations as to what she can do in terms of work, because she has a felony conviction from earlier, and she's trying to keep her head above water, but earning money is a problem. So she ends up finding her way into this sort of ring that deals with sort of stolen credit cards and getting merchandise and making money that way. which is how she meets Theo Rossi's character. Uh, and over the course of the film, she sort of becomes really good at it, which I think surprises herself. And it sort of is about this relationship between the person that she wanted to be before she had a conviction and the person that she is now. There's obviously some looks at the life she could have led. There are moments that she has where she talks about how she wanted to be an artist, where she talks about how she was going to go to college and couldn't finish, and now she has legal debt and everything to have to pay off. So it has a lot of stuff that it wants to talk about. It's just really hard to follow it. There was one really good scene where she sits down in a job interview, and obviously she's struggling. Otherwise, she wouldn't be where she is, and she wouldn't be doing what she's doing. Now, of course, the interviewer doesn't know what Emily does, but when she offers her this like 6-month unpaid internship and requires her to work a normal work week, it just kind of blows her mind. And they have a conversation about what that means. And I feel like that was the screenwriter just talking about unpaid internships in general, and the just sort of the asinine attitude behind asking somebody to do that, to devote their time full time just for experience. You know, like, oh, this is people fight for this position, so you should be lucky to work here for free. Free labor is, exactly what, and it's like, that's not really true. I mean, first of all, how do people live? You would have to be privileged. You'd have to have a spouse that either earned enough money. You'd have to come from money. Somehow you're living without having to work. Because if you're working a normal work week, that's taking up a giant chunk of your hours. So even if you do have a second job on the weekends, it's going to be really hard for that job to pay your bills while you're doing an unpaid internship. So it's sort of a privileged thing that's only accessible to a few people, and I think that was Emily's point, and I think that was the point of the scene. So I found that scene to be really compelling, and I think Aubrey is really good in the scenes that I was able to grasp in the film. But there were scenes in the film that the film it's crime. It's a crime film, right? So there are some action scenes, light action scenes, like brawling or pulling out a knife or a gun on somebody. I had no idea what was going on. It was really hard for me to follow. It was painstakingly hard for me to follow at times. There were times where the sound, because nobody's talking, it just drops out, and you just sort of listen to ambient noises for long periods of time, like cars driving by, and you're like, is there a character on screen? Who's on screen? What's happening? What am I missing? And then the film, towards the end of the film, there's sort of a climax. I don't want to totally spoil it, but there's sort of a big event that happens that the film sort of is building toward. And there's dialogue in it, and it happens, but it's not the end of the film. But from that point on, basically until the end of until credits roll, there really isn't sound. For probably about, I would say probably about 6 minutes, maybe 7. I heard nothing but ambient noises of cars driving, street walking, just background conversations that were not meant to be heard. Like no dialogue from any major characters were happening. There's no screaming. Nothing like that was happening. It was just sort of these scenes, these establishing shots. There was one scene where you could hear the LAPD break in, and literally all I heard was like, LAPD! I have no idea where they broke into. I don't know what happened. I don't know who was there, because nobody reacted. It was just LAPD broke in. And then the film ends to let you know that Aubrey Plaza is okay, but she ends the film speaking in Spanish. So I didn't even know, I didn't even really get resolution because her final dialogue isn't even in a language that I'm fluent in, even though I'm trying really hard through Duolingo to be able to understand Spanish and to be able to be fluent in it. So one day, when a problem like Bardo arises itself and it only has Spanish audio description, I will be able to watch it. That would be the goal, but I'm not there. So, uh, yeah, it's this was borderline unwatchable. To be totally honest, I wouldn't recommend this to a blind or visually impaired person. There's nothing really about this that allows itself to be a full experience. There are scenes that work, um, but there are moments in between that go on for a while, where you're just gonna end up wanting to play with your phone or something. I did. I played with my phone until like I heard somebody speak. There were times while I was watching this film where I just started playing around with my phone. I got tired of listening to somebody driving or background or somebody walking down a street, or it's just I got tired of ambient noises. And this is why we need accessibility. I shouldn't have had to worry about this title. I thought it was a major enough title. I thought it was big enough. It's been released theatrically. Generally, most movies that have been released theatrically end up with audio description. It's also been on Netflix for a couple weeks. I didn't watch it as soon as it dropped. So if there was an available track, they could have added it. I'm not fully blaming Netflix for this, because I do believe that the film studio should have created an audio description track for that, and I have no proof that they ever did. So I feel like this is just sort of like a categorical failure across the board, but I wish I could have recommended Emily the Criminal to you. I really wanted to. And if this was a case where I was looking at seeing audio description for this film on another platform, maybe I would be more mad at Netflix specifically. But right now I'm just sort of mad at Hollywood in general for making yet another film that is not accessible to us, and just sort of expecting us to be okay with it. And I'm not okay with it. I sort of have a little bit of a conundrum in terms of grading, and what I've decided to do, because I keep running into this path where I feel like the grade isn't necessarily reflective of the work of the artists who went and put together the film, and I'm not sure that the artists themselves have control. I'm not sure that if I didn't run into Aubrey Plaza right now and tell her that I need audio description and watch her film, that she wouldn't do everything in her power and her ability to make that happen for me. So I've given some low scores to films in the past due to lack of audio description. So in this case, because it doesn't have audio description, I'm not going to grade it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say it's unwatchable. I believe in general, this film is unwatchable. So I cannot recommend it to a blind and visually impaired audience. To a non-blind and visually impaired audience, it's really hard to grade based on what I had. It would be like grading a film based on a preview. I did not get the entire film. I'm missing a lot here. And asking me as a critic to continue to grade films is sort of bizarre. So I'm going to start with films that I watched that don't have audio description, and I'm starting with Emily the Criminal, and I'm just calling it unwatchable. That's its grade. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad film. It doesn't mean it's a good film. It does mean, however, that for me and for my audience, this film is unwatchable without accessibility. So that's that. Anyway, I hope you guys are okay with that. I know you're probably disappointed that I didn't grade the film, but yeah, I gave Crimes of the Future like a D-, but I don't know that it necessarily deserves a D-. It was unwatchable. I gave it that score because it's unwatchable. I gave another film an F because it's unwatchable. So I don't know that those films deserved the scores that they got artistically. So I'm just going to start using Unwatchable as a grade. That's it. That's it for me today. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Please subscribe. I'm still trying to get to 100 subscribers this year. It's a really low goal that I set for myself, and I apparently am not going to hit it. It'd be nice if I did. And you can go to my website, macthemovieguy.com. I'm also on Twitter at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. And it'll let you know who is working on the audio description for your favorite films and television shows when they actually do have audio description. So that's it for me today. I gotta go review something else for you guys, but I will see you on the other side.